Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for clicking on the video. I'm going to make this video and just kind of go pick by pick for the games in the round of 32 just for fun because it's like, why not? I'm going to try to edit this video and get it done and published. But the thing is, with how long it takes me, first few games are probably going to be over. But let's just roll right into it. I think the biggest game of the day so far is probably going to be the Tennessee versus Duke game. 4 against 5. That game's going to be huge. And I think it's going to have a lot of implication to do with that region and that bracket. But then also, other big games that we have tonight is we have number 10 Penn State against number 2 Texas. We're going to see if Penn State can keep on their roll. Those number 1 teams, Houston and Alabama, we'll see how they fare up against their opponents later on tonight. So those games are going to be really fun. Let's start in the region where there was the most chaos, Purdue's region, where FDU got that upset the other day. Their matchup is against Florida Atlantic. You know what? Because of how fun it is and how college basketball is right now, I'm just going to take FDU. Why not? I don't remember if in 2018 when the Golden Retrievers beat Virginia, I was like, yep, I'm going to have them beat Kansas State. I don't remember. Like, they didn't beat Kansas State. They ended up losing that game. With how fun it is where it's like no 16 seed team has actually gotten this far, it's like, why not? So, yeah, I'm going to have them move to the Sweet 16. Out of Duke and Tennessee, like I said, big game, big matchup. I think a lot of people are now coming in to realize, like, hey, Duke's a serious team. And I would say that they are. Like, if you look at the history of the tournament, it's like whoever represents the ACC or the Big East or the Big 12 usually makes a lot of noise. And it's like, Duke are the defending champs in the ACC. And now everybody's coming on to realize, like, oh, hey, maybe this is a serious team. And it's like, yeah, you slept on them. So Duke against Tennessee. I'm going to still roll with who I picked. I'm going to pick Duke. And then Kentucky and Kansas State. I watched Kansas State get that solid win the other day against Montana State, just with a lot of questions and the anomaly of what's going on with Kentucky and how they've been this year. And I'm going to keep my Kentucky pick, but I feel really like about that because Kansas State might get that win. But we'll see. We'll come back to that one. And then out of Michigan State and Marquette. Both of those teams, they didn't blow out their opponents, but they did have really good, solid wins. And this one is so hard to pick because it's like, you don't sleep on Tom Izzo. You don't sleep on Michigan State. Marquette is Marquette. They're the Big East champs. So, it's hard to say, and I don't want to pick a team, but I'm going to go with the safe pick, my original pick, go with my gut, and I'm going to say Marquette gets the win and they move on. All right, Alabama versus Maryland. Alabama is rolling right now, and I don't know who can compete with them. It's going to be fun to watch all the 1 seeds get absolutely beat and knocked out of the bracket. I don't think Maryland can beat Alabama, so I have Alabama moving on. San Diego State versus Furman. I'm going to roll with the Mountain West champs. Not to discredit Furman and what they did, but it's just like because of the coaching and the mistake with the turnover is why we even got to this point. Like Furman, it still is a good basketball team, but it's like, I'm going to roll with the Mountain West champs. All right, Creighton against Baylor. This is another big matchup. I'm torn between who I think can win this game because it's like Creighton had a good win, Baylor had a good win. I'm going to keep with my original pick, go with my gut, and I'm going to say Baylor. And then out of Missouri and Princeton, Missouri did have a solid win against Utah State, but it is Utah State. Princeton's win, there's a lot more leverage to that because it's like they beat Arizona. I'm going to roll with Princeton because why not? You know, it's fun. This is the fun of college basketball. And so I have a 15 seed getting to the Sweet 16. Houston and Auburn. There has been a lot of disrespect going Houston's way. They're like, oh, they should have blew that team out. They're not playing to their abilities. They're going to be the first number 1 seed that gets knocked out. The disrespect is real. And I honestly, like, it just doesn't feel right in my gut to be like, yep, Auburn's going to beat them and move to the Sweet 16. So I'm still rolling with Houston. And then out of Miami and Indiana, I watched Indiana absolutely handle Kent State the other day. Their star player was playing phenomenal there towards the end of the second half. And so if he rolls, they're rolling. And so I think he's going to be a little bit too much for the Hurricane. And so I'll have Indiana moving to the Sweet 16. Pittsburgh against Xavier is a very interesting pick because I picked Xavier going to the Sweet 16, but because it's a whole new matchup between Pitt and them, and it's not Iowa State there, it begs me to wonder and ask the question, it's like, if Pitt gets a big lead, like how Kennesaw did the other day, I don't think Xavier can come back from that. They could, they couldn't, I don't know. But I just think right now Pittsburgh is the hottest team in the tournament. They've played the most games. They started in the first four, and first four has been able to get to the Final Four. Like back in 2021, UCLA did it. And I'm not saying that this Pitt team is the same as UCLA, but it's like the first four teams, they have made noise in the tournament in the past. And honestly, I think we're looking at it right now with Pitt. And so I think if Pitt gets up big against Xavier, I don't think Xavier can come back. I think Xavier's a little rattled right now. Who knows? They could show up and absolutely blow out Pitt, but I'm going to pick the fun pick and pick all those higher seeds, and roll with that and say, yeah, Pitt's able to get past Xavier and move to the Sweet 16. And then out of Penn State and Texas, I am so torn. They both had solid wins against their teams, respectfully, and Texas absolutely blew out Colgate. Like that game was so, like, I picked Penn State originally to move on to the Sweet 16, but in the fashion that Texas beat Colgate, like if Texas only beat Colgate by like 5, 6, 7 points, then it's like, yeah, I'm rolling with Penn State. But it's in the way that they beat Colgate. It's in the way that Penn State beat Texas A&M, where it's like, oh, this game might be closer than I think. And so I am very torn. Just like the Michigan State and the Marquette matchup, I don't want to make a pick, but I know I'm gonna have to. So I'm gonna pick Texas. I'm gonna sleep on Penn State. I know I said I wasn't gonna sleep on Penn State, but just with how Texas is humming right now, and this might bite me in the butt, I'm gonna pick Texas. Kansas had their good win, and Arkansas also moved on, but Kansas is the number 1 seed, and 1 seeds don't lose often to 8 seeds, so I have Kansas moving on. St. Mary's and UConn. UConn had a phenomenal win against Iona, and they just were so solid, all the points, and they showed up a lot better in their individual game, and so I'll stick with my original pick. None of my picks changed, by the way, so I'll have UConn moving on. TCU against Gonzaga. I thought that Gonzaga would blow them out originally, like, yep, Gonzaga's going to roll. But because of how TCU showed up against Arizona State and how fun, intense, and close that game was, I'm going to say that TCU-Gonzaga game is going to be closer than a lot of people think. I'm still going to roll with Gonzaga because Gonzaga has become one of those elite programs in college basketball. Maybe in a few years from now we can label them a blue blood, but for now, no. Northwestern against UCLA. Man, with how much UCLA just bullied UNC the other night, I think this Bruins team is way too much, and I think Northwestern has a lot on their hands, so I'm going to pick UCLA to keep moving on. Those are my picks for the round of 32. I didn't go all the way because, like, there's no reason to. We're just going to pick the 16 games that we have between now and Sunday, so yeah. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Deuces.